All right, for the next portion of the lecture, I want to talk to you a little bit about a capability we have in Java to draw on the screen. Now, up to this point, we've dealt with components that are provided to us by default through the Abstract Window Toolkit or through the Swing library. We've talked a little bit about the Abstract Window Toolkit, but mostly we've just worked with the Swing library. However, what if we need to put a shape on the screen, or what if we need to draw something ourselves? We can draw different shapes on the screen using some features in Java. What we're going to do is take a look at, the first thing I want to show you is this draw line method. When Java wants to place something on the screen, think of the screen as a piece of paper. Digital paper, but paper nonetheless. If it wants to put a dialog box on that screen, or any window or anything, it is what we call drawn. The idea is that not that there's somebody that lives inside the monitor with a pen and literally comes around and draws all the lines and all the little letters that you see. But when we think about it visually, I mean, essentially that is what's going on. In the times of CRT monitors, there was a little sort of electron gun that sat in the back and went back and forth and painted the electrons onto the display so that they would display in a certain manner. That's way back when we had the green and white, the green and black. As time went on, we got better versions of those, and now we have LCD screens where we're actually physically changing the colors of the pixel, sending instructions to change the color of the pixels. But the idea is that things were being painted or drawn on the screen. Again, we try to find real life analogies or ways to express some of what is going on to make it more understandable to the user when you're learning a program. In the case of Java, our windows, and as we'll come to learn our applets, have what are called paint methods. They are built in. They have quite an extensive implementation in the JFrame class. The paint method will draw all the objects on the screen that have been placed on that screen, all of the text boxes, labels, buttons, all of that stuff. It will visually represent those on the screen for us. Sometimes, though, we want to add our own items. Sometimes we want to add our own images. Perhaps we want to draw a circle around something or put an additional box in. Maybe we want to change the color of half of the screen. We can do that through a number of drawing methods that are available to us as part of something called the graphics class. When I talk to people about the graphics class, I like to tell them that the graphics class is essentially a paintbrush. Think of the graphics class as your paintbrush, and we can give that paintbrush instructions. When we want to draw something on the screen, the graphics class, there's a graphics class object made available to us in the paint method. The paint method is called automatically by Java when the screen needs to be drawn. When we have objects that need to be displayed that need to be drawn, the paint method is called. Inside that paint, if you look at the definition of the paint method, and I have a definition up here on the screen, you will see that as an argument, it's getting a graphics class object. Again, this method is called automatically by Java, and Java is going to provide it that paintbrush. We're going to reference that paintbrush anytime we want to draw something And there are methods that will allow us to change the color at which we draw with that paintbrush. When we override the paint method, I generally recommend calling super.paint. And the reason I recommend calling that is because it calls the JFrames paint method. If we were to add up here in our constructor any sort of fields to be displayed or labels or buttons, if we want those to appear on the screen, if we want them to be drawn on the screen, we need to make sure that the JFrames paint method is called, or we need to make sure that we provide code to paint all those objects. Personally, I don't want to have to worry about that. So I'm going to go ahead and call super.paint and let the JFrame class worry about all that stuff. Anything that I want to draw on the screen is going to come after that. And the first method that I want to introduce you to is the draw line method. The draw line method is a method of the graphics class that takes 4 integer numbers. The first integer is the X starting point. Now we've seen this if you've taken 111 with me, or if you've taken 111 with Eileen Wrigley, we will have talked about the set location method in the various components: buttons, text boxes, text areas, labels, all of which have a set location. That set location method takes 2 items: the x-axis and the position along the x-axis and the position along the y-axis. For those of you who haven't seen this before, a quick primer. Think of your computer monitor and every window that you have as a coordinate grid, with the x and y axis starting in the top left-hand corner of the screen or of the window. That would be the top left-hand corner. The y-axis runs across or horizontally from left to right, starting at 0 and ending at the end of the visible area of the monitor or window. And it's going to depend on the window size or the resolution that you have set on your monitor. That's the y-axis. The y-axis goes from left to right horizontally or across. The x-axis goes up and down. Again, 0 starts in the top left-hand corner and it goes down. If we're talking about the monitor, whatever the highest number on the resolution is, an 800 by 600 resolution display would go from 0 to 600 pixels. So it just depends. For your window, it's going to depend on the height of the window. But again, 0, 0 starts in the top right hand, or the top left hand corner. And again, the positive values go across from 0, which is on the left, to whatever the largest visible area is on the right. And again, the X starts at 0 at the top, and the numbers get bigger as they go down. So we have to find, when we have a line is essentially drawn between 2 points. So we're going to provide the X value for the first point, and then the Y value for the first point, and then the X value for the second point, and the Y value for the second point. And essentially it will draw a straight line between the 2 points. That is essentially the draw line method. Why don't you take a moment and look at exercise 3, which will give you an opportunity to draw that draw line method. When you're done, you can go through the walkthrough. The walkthrough will explain to you how the test line demo class is set up, which will walk you through, which will set up the display of the window. It's actually kind of interesting. And the line demo, of course, we'll go over that again and how that works and everything that's involved in that. When you're finished with that and move on, we'll look at drawing some of the rest of the shapes that are available to us.